Welcome back to DaBoot Tragedies. We're going to talk about the safety play from the New Orleans Saints in the 2022 season. Obviously, we brought in Tyrann, Mathieu, Marcus Maye, Daniel Sorensen, and brought back P.J. Williams. These four guys basically had to replace Marcus Williams, who was an all-pro safety, very, very good for the Saints playing that deep third position. He had crazy range at that safety position, and one guy just wasn't going to replace him, a guy that's coming into his prime, a very, very good player for the Saints. So what we did was we went out and replaced him with Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus Maye, two versatile safety that could play in the box, kind of nickel spot, and play that deep third. So to replace Marcus Williams, it was going to take multiple guys being able to do multiple things, giving the defense a lot of versatility. The downside of this was it's going to be three different guys that's going to be the new system. Guys coming from different places. Daniel Sorensen and Tyrann Mathieu coming from the Chiefs, and Marcus Maye coming from the Jets, where he actually tore his Achilles. So he's coming off a season-ending injury. Used to be a career-ending injury. So you got three guys, three different moving parts trying to fit in to this new system and play safety for the Saints. And it started off awful. Let's just be honest. Marcus Maye, Tyrann Mathieu, in my opinion, didn't play well at all to start off the season. First 2 to 4 games, it was just very, very bad, especially with Tyrann Mathieu. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of blown assignments, a lot of getting beat deep. I don't think he could do anything right. And, hey, like I said, my videos are still up. I won't ever delete anything. If you go look back early in the season, I was calling him washed. I was calling him bad. He was the worst player on the Saints defense. Everything that I was saying was true at that moment. Very, very true. Marcus Maye, he wasn't playing as awful as Tyrann, but he wasn't, living up to that contract that he got this offseason. So things definitely was off, to a rocky start with this safety group. But they did turn it around, in my opinion. And we'll start with Tyrann. Tyrann Mathieu. First thing I want to talk about is this man played 17 games out of 17 games for the Saints. Now, with all the injuries we had this season from the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, man, if you want to just go, obviously, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave was hurt, Jameis Winston got hurt, Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Alontae Taylor. The list can go on and on and on. How many injuries we had this season. Man, you got to give credit to Tyrann. I don't know if anyone else played 17 games this season. Maybe Demario Davis, because he just always does that off top of my head. I know Cam Jordan usually does. He missed a game, but shout out to him. Shout out to Tyrann Mathieu. He was playing bad. He taking a lot of criticism. A lot of people were saying, hey, he just came to New Orleans to retire. He's not that same guy that he was in Kansas City or early in his career. But he showed up in the second half of the season. Let's talk about some of the stats he had on this season. Obviously, like I said, 17 out of 17 games. That was huge with all the injuries we had. He led the team with 3 interceptions. Now, that's awful. That's awful. We didn't really intercept the ball. We really didn't force turnovers this year. But he did have 3 interceptions. He did have 1 forced fumble, and he did have a fumble recovery. We didn't force a lot of turnovers, so when we did, basically Tyrann Mathieu was a part of it, so you got to give him credit for that. He had 1 sack on the year, 91 tackles, and 3 tackles for loss. So he ended up having a pretty solid year, especially from where he started, because where he started, I just thought it was going to be a very, very bad season. I was asking for him to get benched. Like, I'll keep it honest. I was asking for him to get benched, and if you were watching those Saints games early in the season, you know for sure Tyrann Mathieu was playing bad. Like I said, I played no favoritism. I showed no favoritism to any player. Love Tyrann Mathieu, went to LSU. One of the best players in LSU history. Probably the second best player behind Joe Burrow, if we're being honest. So it was just an unfortunate start to his career with the Saints, but he did turn it around, man. Was absolutely fantastic. I guess, once he learned the system, once Dennis Allen learned him, started putting him in a box, putting him in situations that he can succeed in, I think it was just better for the Saints and better for Tyrann Mathieu. I'm looking forward to what he can bring to the team next year because he did finish the season very, very strong for us. Now we go to Marcus Maye. His biggest thing, standing on the field. Coming off that Achilles injury, he was probably going to get hurt again, man. When you come off a major injury like that, you're just bound to get hurt again. He played 10 games out of 17, so he ended up missing 7 games on the season. That's a lot of games. That's almost half the games you're missing, and for a starting safety in the NFL, you just don't want that. You don't need that. Like I said, the Saints were already beat up to shit this year, and missing Marcus Maye definitely hurt us. Finished the season with 60 tackles. That's basically all he did. He had a really, really good game towards the end of the season. I think against the Bucs, he had like 6 tackles on the opening drive, which, you don't want your safety making all those tackles because that means guys are breaking free. But he tackled well. He's not scared to, throw his body in there and make some hits. He was beat up. He was bruised. He's going to have to come back, get healthy. He's going to have to play more than 10 games for us. If he comes back, which he probably will, him and Tyrann, they're going to definitely be a very, very good safety duo. They're going to be in the system for a year. So no excuses on that. Now, hopefully, the way they both ended the season, they can start off the season next year with that same fire, that same passion, playing with that same energy. But I do think this is going to be a very, very good safety duo as long as the Saints keep these guys together for maybe 1 or 2 more seasons. Now, let's talk about P.J. Williams. P.J. Williams was a guy I thought was going to come in and be a sleeper this year. Been waiting his turn, been on a one-year deal for, the last 3 seasons. Very good player sometimes. Very good player sometimes. I think PJ was going to have an expanded role this year if he could have stayed healthy. Losing Marcus Williams, having Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May come in. PJ Williams is very versatile. He can play the outside corner. He can play nickel. He can play free safety. And he can play strong safety. So with all the injuries we had this year, it was definitely going to be a time for PJ Williams to step up. But unfortunately, he was hurt himself. He played in 11 games this year, started 3 games. So he missed 6 games this season. He was also hurt. He was also banged up, so he could never really get a feel for the defense and get out there. But he did start 3 games. He finished the season with 26 tackles on the season. I was expecting more from him this year, especially with the injuries. I wish he could have stepped up. But he's probably going to get another 1-year deal with the Saints. I don't know why he keeps getting 1-year deals. The Saints maybe should probably go in a different direction. You got guys like Smoke Monday. I'm sure we're going to be looking at other safeties in the draft or undrafted free agency. So we'll see what his future holds. But I thought he could have had it. There was his chance this year. I think there was his chance to try to get a role that was going to stick with the Saints. Didn't really get the chance because he was hurt. Guys were out, so that was a missed opportunity on his part. But you can't control injury, so not blaming him for that. And last but not least, man, I want to talk about Daniel Sorensen. No one liked this pickup. Let's be honest. No one liked this pickup. No fan. I'm sure players in the locker room. I know Tyrann didn't like it. He hated Sorensen, or at least on the field. That's what it looked like in Kansas City. But he came in. He did his job. He was on special teams. He didn't make many mistakes. And when we asked him to play in games, he played okay. Got a couple picks. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. My eyes were super, super shocked. Daniel Sorensen was out there playing solid football. Now, he wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. Those days are over. Well, he was never really great. But him being a solid safety in this league, those days are over. And nothing wrong with that. He's a good veteran. Somebody, good to have in your locker room. Going to play special teams. Going to do his job. And when he's asked to start, he'll be capable. And that's all you're really asking for some of these backups. Hey, can you hold the fort down for 2 games? For 2 games, 3 games maybe, while my starting safety is hurt. Daniel Sorensen came in today. He played all 17 games this year. Started 2. Finished with 25 tackles and 2 interceptions. So shout out to Daniel Sorensen, man. A true professional. Came in when his number was called. Played well. That's all you can really ask for. I don't want to dive into, the future going forward too much yet, but I do think we're going to be looking at safety in the offseason. Maybe get a young guy that can probably learn from Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May for 1 or 2 years and maybe take over the reins. Like I said, they got Smoke Monday coming back from an injury. Who knows what we're going to do at that position, but I think these guys really played well this year. They really played well. They started off the year bad, but I think they turned it around towards the end of the season, and they played well as a unit, rotating guys in and out of there. So I credit to the safeties. Credit to the safeties because all those guys were new except P.J. Williams, and they came in and they did very, very well, in my opinion. Next season, hopefully they're all back, and maybe they can make some noise now that they've been in the system for a while. Let me know what y'all thought about the safeties in the comments below. As always, this is DaBoot Tragedies, and I'm out.